Baby, I could be. Act 2.
What's up, guys? Movie Maniac here. Continuing on with DreamWorks-a-thon, we're now at Shrek 2, the sequel to the first successful Shrek movie. Yeah, basically, that's like the only thing that everybody remembers from DreamWorks, other than like How You Train Your Dragon and stuff. But yeah, Shrek 2 is about as good as the first movie. I mean, I really liked the first movie. The second movie is as good as the first movie. I mean, just really good. What's the plot? Well, I'll tell you. So the plot starts off with Shrek and Fiona. They're living together. You know, they're gonna get married in this swamp. But then they decide to go to the land far, far away to get their marriage blessings from their parents, from Fiona's parents. Except Fiona's parents is the queen and king, and they're both kind of a little bit disappointed that her husband is an ogre. Well, I wouldn't blame you. So basically, Shrek is a little bit upset over Fiona's parents. So he goes out there and tries to find a way to not only make Fiona's parents impressed with him, but also Fiona too. So he goes to the fairy godmother, well, her lair, and then he grabs like this potion bottle. And then when he drinks it, he turns himself into a human being, so that way he could fit in with the crowd. So yeah, not really a bad story. Not really a bad story for Shrek. It really works because, you know, who can blame when your daughter's getting married to an ogre? But yeah, the plot is really perfect for that kind of story. The story is really perfect for that kind of Shrek world, you know. Yeah, the story is very good. I also really like the new characters, like Puss in Boots. Man, Puss in Boots is just awesome. I mean, Puss in Boots is like the Mask of Zorro, except he's a cat. And plus, he's also voiced by Antonio Banderas.
Pray for mercy from Puss in Boots. Airball.
That is nasty.
That's one reason why I would say Mask of Zorro. But yeah. So yeah, Puss in Boots is such a cool character, and he's so popular. He stars in other Shrek sequels like Shrek 3 and 4, and it gets his own spin-off. So yeah, and then there's also the fairy godmother. I think the fairy godmother is like the funniest villains of all Shrek history. I also really like Prince Charming, the villain Prince Charming. I mean, he's such a perfect villain. Psychic villain in Shrek 2, but in Shrek 3, well, we'll get to that later. But, so yeah, the villains and new characters are really good. The King and Queen are also really funny too. The King is actually voiced by John Cleese. Now, that guy, he's a legendary actor of comedy, especially with the Monty Python movies. So yeah, what else? Ooh, I guess I should talk about my problem with the movie. Actually, I only have like one problem that like kind of affects a little bit of the movie is, well, I love Eddie Murphy. Don't get me wrong, he is way funny. I love Eddie Murphy, but he was a bit sometimes there's a point where Eddie Murphy is funny. Then there's some times where he goes a tad bit over annoying. So yeah, Eddie Murphy can be annoying at bits, but he's still really funny though. Yeah, that's pretty much all what I don't like about the movie, which, that's not bad. That means the movie is good. I mean, like, good as the first one. Ooh, my favorite scene of all Shrek history, in Shrek 2, is the gingerbread scene. I mean, it's given gingerbread scene. I mean, I'm a giant monster fan, and a giant gingerbread cookie monster going out there destroying the cities and everything. That was so cool. I just remember as a kid, I used to rewind that all the time, and it was so cool. I just want to have my own giant gingerbread man, except I would eat them very fast, and I would be fat. But yeah, so, yeah. So Shrek 2 is really good. In conclusion, Shrek 2 is about as good as the first movie. I mean, it's got great animation, a good fitting story. Voice actors are still funny, good new characters. The comedy is still very strong. Love the comedy. It's so funny with fresh jokes and ideas. Just, yeah, it's about as good as the first Shrek. So yeah, What did I give Shrek? I think it was an A, right? Yeah. Or, no, A minus, yeah. So, I would give Shrek 2 an A minus. That's such a really good rating, and as good as the first movie. So, yeah. So, my answer question today is, what is your favorite Shrek character? Comment that down below. Check out my other videos. They're really cool. Like and subscribe. Like my page on Facebook. Email me what movie I should do. See ya.